we've arrived in Chobar, where we see an amazing colossal statue of Manjushree, who traveled from Wutaishan in Mahachin all the way to Kathmandu to drain the Kathmandu Valley and start the first human settlement that we know of. Now, the story of the Kathmandu Valley, begins with Manjushree traveling from Wutaishan in China, or in those days would be referred to as Mahachin, and basically wanted to approach the Swayambhu hill, which was surrounded by water. So he travels, to the southern end of the valley and then cuts a gorge. Now it's very important, to make a reference to the sword, because the text says that he cut the gorge with the sword of wisdom. Now the sword of wisdom is knowledge and skills, but in iconography we physically show it, as a sword. So this, amazing traveler also traveled at a time when we had no aeroplanes, and myth has it that he traveled with a pair of lions with wings, which we call sardul. Now, myth also has it that the first settlement, human settlement in the Kathmandu Valley, is named after Manjushree and is called Manju Patan, which according to historical records would be somewhere between Swayambhu and the Balaju area of present-day Kathmandu. And it also says that he used the sarduls to plow and cultivate the Kathmandu Valley for the first time, and this area would be in the present-day Thamel area of Kathmandu. I am with Chandrashyam Dongol, who basically has carved this amazing statue of Manjushree, which is 33 feet tall, and you can see work to be done. And so basically he plans to put the Manjushree slokas on this level, also put the Astamangal and also the 4 incarnations of Manjushree, and the green area we see here ultimately designed into a mandala. So in the year 248 BC, Lumbini had this very famous visitor, the Mauryan emperor Ashok. So he lived in Pataliputra, which is in present-day Patna, and basically with his teacher Upagupta decided to visit the birthplace of the Buddha to pay homage. So this travel was also undertaken when there were no aeroplanes, and so the story is that he traveled along the Ganges, to Vaisali, which is in present-day Muzaffarpur, close to Muzaffarpur, and from Muzaffarpur to Lumbini. Now, one of the things is that he made Lumbini very famous even to the present day by leaving a pillar. And so people tell us that the pillar itself must have been taken along the Ganges using barrage. So this famous emperor visited Lumbini and basically left this proof that this was the site where the Buddha was born. And so even today, thousands of people visit this site, because of this very famous visitor in the year 248 BC. Today in our walkabout, we are now standing below the statue of Prime Minister Jung Bahadur Rana, who left Kathmandu on 15th of January to visit the Queen of England. His travel was in the days when there were no airplanes, and so he had to basically take a land trip down to the Tarai to a place called Pithoragarh, and then he had to go to Patna and then on to Calcutta, where he boarded a ship which took him to Madras, and from Madras he had to go to Sri Lanka. From Sri Lanka he took a steamer through the Suez Canal and then came to Cairo in Egypt, and then on to Alexandria. From Alexandria he traveled to Malta through the Strait of Gibraltar and then arrived in Southampton Harbour on May 28, 1850. Now this was a long trip and brought him back to Kathmandu only on February 6th, 1851. So this trip to Queen Victoria's court was very important because Jung Bahadur was able to establish good relationships with the Queen, and for the Queen it paid off because in 1857 when the Indian army mutinied against the British, she asked Jung Bahadur for military assistance, and Jung Bahadur then travelled down to Lucknow to suppress the mutiny on behalf of the Queen. For Jung Bahadur, it paid off because now he was able to start a family rule that then extended for 104 years. So this travel to England took just over a year without aeroplanes, all by land and sea. And so these three personalities have not just left us a legacy, but also a story where travel is possible, despite the fact that we do not have any flights.